it's a healthy income. It
Yeah,
would
but
definitely
like
be
when you compare it to
for a
the
lot.
other CDs, you're just like, yeah, that's not very much money. And I know a lot
I
of
mean,
people.
yeah, I suppose if you're like 80 years old, living off Social Security, uh, and all that you have is a CD with 25,000, then yeah, that probably is not a lot of money
Well,
because
actually, it depends. If you're living strictly off Social Security, that's a lot of money. If you're not living strictly off Social Security, it's probably not a lot of money.
well, it depends how you're living. Are you like pinching nickels to live off Social Security? Or are you very reasonably living off Social Security with money to spare? Because
Well,
if you're nickel and diming yourself through Social Security, living cheap as possible, I wouldn't really say you're living off Social Security
no, 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 no,
because
no. Social
you can have a
Security,
much you can
no,
have a much better quality of life. I think
no.
it's kind of
Social
comes down to your
Security
quality of
is
life.
not. Social Security, depending on when you retire, doesn't actually pay for your bills sometimes.
Well, I know,
They
but
make
what I'm
less
saying,
than we do.
well, yeah, yeah. Well, it has a -4% rate of return currently. You
Wonderful.
you make more money throwing your social security throwing if they did not have social security, you would make more money literally putting that in a savings account for 40 odd plus years rather than giving it to the government for
Fuck,
them to hold on to it.
fuck. You'd have better luck just throwing it in a regular checking account.
Oh yeah.
At -4%,
You're
inflation
losing
over
money.
50 years on average is not greater than 4%.
Uh, yes, which is why I don't
It's on
get
average
why
3 or
I don't get
less.
which is why I don't get why they can't just throw it into an automatic 401k at which you have the discretion at your own will to decide if you want it to go into a 401k or not. You could choose to take the lump sum, and most people probably would. However, I think that if it automatically was sent into a 401k, most people would try not to touch it.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing, right? Is that when you give people the option and those people feel like they're struggling, they will take it, which is why they threw the whole Social Security thing together. So that way they're forced to have money taken out. But the money that's taken out is worthless.
Yeah. Well,
So it's like,
I mean, they made Social Security so that people could not, so people didn't have to work to death.
well, yeah. But the problem is that they still kind of do because of how little you actually end up with.
Well, it didn't used to be the case.
No, yeah. But
Everybody
they will have
says,
to do. I think they will have to do something different for our generation because they're saying mid 2030s it's going to be run dry.
well, it ran dry because the government didn't
Stop funding it.
No, the government actually did not put their fingers into it. That is a lie that people believe, but it is not true. The government never touched Social Security. What happened was the government never adjusted how much they put into Social Security, and they didn't bother to. And they
Keep up
hardly
with
bothered to
inflation.
adjust how much people take out. And so the system hasn't fucking changed in 70 years. And
So
so
it never kept up with inflation.
the problem is the other problem is there are less people putting into Social Security than there are taking out, which doesn't work.
Yeah.
They didn't expect such a drastic population decline.
Now, is the reason for that because of what, individual business owners, or what is that?
No, it's because Gen Z you could put Gen Z and millennials together, and there are less of them than there are boomer. There were at one point, anyways.
I don't
Nowadays,
think
a
that's
lot of them
true.
have died off, and so there are finally starting to be more of us than them. But there's still a shit ton of them, and they still take out a shit ton of money. We don't put enough in because another thing is we don't make as much as we should. We don't make jack all because wages haven't gone up. Because if wages went up, the amount going into Social Security would also go up. But wages didn't go up. There's literally less people putting into Social Security. The whole system was flawed because of fucking capitalism. Not because of the government. I mean, the government was lazy.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's.
But they didn't pull money out. It's a flawed system that nobody bothered to fucking fix. And now it's like, well, what do we do? And they're like, let's make them work till they're 72. And it's like, we could have prevented this.
So this is as of 2023. Baby boomers made up 21% of the population. Millennials alone made up 21.7. Gen Z alone made up 20.7.
Now, granted,
that is nearly 42% of the population was made double baby boomers.
Now, here's the other thing, though. What percentage of those Gen Zers are actually working? And then look at the average wages at that current age bracket compared to what boomers were getting, adjusted for inflation and PPP, purchasing power parity. You adjust for that. We don't make jack all compared to what they were making back in the 1940s. When you adjust for inflation and PPP, you don't get jack all. And it's like, oh, we're making less than they did. And also, when they put money in, there was hardly anybody taking money out. And now they get to reap the rewards of the last fucking 70 years. And what will we get? Jack all. Yes, I figured my numbers were wrong. I figured they were wrong. I figured it was an exaggeration. But just look at it. Millennials, they're barely more. Barely more.
No, but that's millennials alone. You're not including Gen Z.
I know. It was over exaggeration, which I figured it was. Thank you for correcting me. I figured it was an over exaggeration. But I guarantee you, us combined probably still makes less than the boomers did back in the fucking 60s and 70s. When they were our ages. For how much they earn. What accounted for inflation and PPP?
So, I don't know what it comes out to, but it says they made 40 cents an hour. What is 40 cents an hour adjusted for inflation in 2024?
What year was that?
40s.
Okay, that's not boomers. That's the silent generation.
Well, that's what you said, 40s.
I know. I should have said. That's why I adjusted to the 60s and 70s for boomers.
You didn't say that the first time.
I know I didn't say that the first time. Like I had to make an exaggeration, but it still works. So let's put 1945 money to today. Why did it? Okay. $1945. Let's do 46. Post-war. Lots of inflation. Okay, I only have 2023 from the Federal Reserve.
Alright, and what's that adjusted for inflation per hour?
Holy fuck. $12.49.
That's not much more than minimum wage now.
In Nebraska. Lots of states still go by the federal minimum wage, which is like $7.
And several go way above.
True.
Seattle is like 15.
What is the average
minimum? Here, in 1974, it was $2 an hour.
Yeah, but how much? But see, here's the thing, though. That's only adjusted for inflation. That doesn't adjust for PPP.
I suppose.
Which is what you really need to look at. How much did goods cost back then? I can guarantee you it was a lot. Like a car. Actually, a car. How much was a...
Well, I can tell you right now, and my dad, we actually had this conversation last night with my parents. A brand new car in 1970, he said cost, I think it was 1968, cost $3,800. What is that adjusted for inflation?
Well, I'm looking...
1968, no, 1969. 1969, and it was $3,800.
Well, I'm looking at 1945 currently.
What? We weren't talking about the boomers, I thought.
Oh, okay. So 30. So I gotta readjust. Okay, well, I gotta readjust things then because I was going $1946. Okay, so we need to go 1969. How much was it?
Yep. $3,800.
That's a $31,000 car.
Yeah, and that's about what they cost now, maybe a little more.
But you aren't going to afford a $31,000 car or a $35.
And you think you could afford a $38,000 car back then?
$3,800 car. It was a lot easier.
What percentage of that was of your income? So now
Hey, actually, look at housing prices. Those fuckers have exceeded inflation time and time again.
No, but okay. Let's take $2 an hour in 1970. Adjust that for inflation now.
1969, $2.
It's 1970, but it doesn't matter a whole lot.
$16.61. So they were earning more than we are now.
So hang on. So $16.31 is equivalent to multiply by roughly 2,000. You know, it'll be roughly $32,000 a year. Back then, you said a new car was $31,000, right?
Yeah.
Which would be 95% of their take-home pay. Now, look up new price of car today and average income per hour today.
What? Wait, $2 was the average in 1970 or the minimum?
That was the thing. Okay, so I guess we'll take federal minimum wage right now. Is that still $7.25 or is it $9?
Yeah, it's still $7.25. So
now look at.
So your math isn't going to work out very well. You're getting fucked. Because federal minimum wage has only gone up $5.25.
I feel like. Is it really still $7.25?
Yes, they have not touched it since the 90s.
No, they did. No. Oh, no, that's Nebraska.
That's state. Nebraska just raised it. By 2025, we're going to be making $15 an hour for minimum wage.
We won't. Minimum wage will.
Well, I won't be surprised unless we get better jobs.
My friend.
Unless we get better jobs, I won't be surprised if we're closer to minimum wage in 2025 than we are now.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm saying $15 now would be a pay deduction, sir.
Yeah, not by much. But
it is
there you go. Federal minimum wage is $7.25.
All right. Let's use Nebraska numbers. No, wait, that still is not better.
It's not.
What is the price of a new car?
Average?
Yeah, I don't know. Average price new car average. I imagine it's somewhere in the 30s, right?
No. $47,433.
27,000?
$47,000.
40. What? What kind of car are you buying that costs almost 50 grand?
You realize the most popular car in America?
No. Okay. Take Teslas out of the market, okay?
No,
Because most
no,
people are not buying a
Phil,
Tesla.
no. It's not that. The most popular car in America is not a car. It's a Ford F-150. A Ford F-150, like, for what most people would drive, starts in the $30,000 range. And then,
what's the average price of Honda Accord?
but most people aren't driving Honda Accords.
You said that was the average car. You said average truck.
But that's the most popular vehicle in America.
Yeah, but if we talk specifically car, what is the most popular car?
What's the Honda Accord?
Exactly.
But
So,
the Honda
we're using
Accord
numbers.
doesn't even crack. I don't think the Honda Accord's even the top 5 most popular vehicles.
Honda Accord.
It might be 4.
2022 costs $27,000.
The bare minimum. The bare minimum. We got an average price.
That is average price.
Oh, 22,000 bare. That's the average?
No, 27,000 is average price for a 2022.
For a 2022. We're working in
That's what I said.
2023 numbers.
Well, they don't have that for all of them.
Right.
2022 is 2 years old, okay? It's not that bad. All right, wait, here it is. No, it's still about the same. 2024 is 27,600. Hasn't changed much.
So, the average price of a car has come down a bit, but people aren't driving cars anymore.
See, I think we still need to adjust, though, versus is the average person, what is the average vehicle driven by a Zoomer and not the average car driven by a Boomer?
Most Zoomers, I don't think
the average car
majority of
driven by a Boomer
Zoomers,
to offset.
majority of Zoomers drive a piece of shit or don't drive at all.
Exactly.
Because they can't afford a new vehicle because they're making $5 because they're making $7.25.
But I still don't want the Boomers' cars to offset what we drive.
Which we don't drive because we can't afford to drive. I will say, gas has remained pretty much impervious to inflation.
What if we looked at average wage of a millennial?
It's rough.
We found that the average salary is $1,376 a week. 1,376 times 52. 71,000? Is that? Oh, I guess these are millennials. We're technically Zoomers.
That's GDP per capita. That's just average GDP per capita.
Well, you know, bulk people are millennials. You know. All right.
That's true.
So
actually, the bulk number of people are Gen X, I believe.
Bulk wage earning people
is boomers.
Wage. What? I thought you said a bunch of boomers have retired.
They still earn more than
not earn. Population.
Oh, well, yes, population-wise, millennials are barely bigger than boomers, but boomers still vastly out-earn millennials. Like,
well, yes,
it's stupid. It is like the percentage is stupid. Actually, Gen X gets fucked too. The boomers, they have so much goddamn wealth and power. It's fucking stupid. It's insane. The numbers just don't work. You're like, what the fuck? Yes, the price of a lot of things has actually improved since the 1940s. TVs, of course, healthcare has also skyrocketed.
Actually, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. In Nebraska, average income per boomer is 50,000. Average income for Gen X is 50,000. Average income for millennial is 40,000.
That's Nebraska isn't as fucked up as a lot of other states are.
Like what state?
California, New York,
Right,
Chicago, Texas, and then you could probably go to the South. They're probably pretty fucked up too. It's
California baby boomers is 61,000, Gen X 60,000, millennial 40,000. I'd say it's that bad. I mean, there is a difference, but
once again,
New
Nebraska.
New York is 60,000 for baby boomer, 50,000 for 58,000 for Gen X, 45,000 for millennial. These numbers are from Business Insider, so I don't know how much you want to trust them.
But the other thing about boomers is, though, by that age, how much are they able to supplement with interest? How much are they able to get away with because they don't have a car payment anymore? Or they don't have a house payment because they just pay those in cash because they have the saved up funds from better times. So they work shittier jobs. Like remember when we were driving through all those visitor centers, how it was all older people working?
Yeah.
Because those jobs don't pay, but boomers don't need the money. They have money, so they work those jobs because why the fuck not? They work it because they want to, not because they have to.
Well, this would actually go against with that. It says baby boomers have the most student loan debt. On average, $43,000.
They shouldn't have any student loan debt. That literally $43,000 is more. 43,000. That doesn't make any sense.
Actually, I somewhat kind of believe this because I don't know. You probably don't watch as much Dave Ramsey as I do, but when I watch quite a bit of Dave Ramsey, and I guess I haven't seen enough to fully justify my claims, but it seems like a lot of people that have money problems are people that are in their 40s and up.
But
so
see,
Gen X and up.
Well, those are. But see, Dave Ramsey, he attracts a certain type of people.
He attracts people that want to get out of debt.
Right, but those don't represent the vast majority. They represent a minority.
I'm just saying what I have noticed from watching.
43,000 doesn't make any sense. That's literally more than what they fucking paid to go to school back in 1960. That's what doesn't make any sense about that. How the fuck could they have $43,000 worth of student loan debt unless it's not theirs? Unless it's their kids that they're picking up the tab for.
Could be.
Because they have fucking money and their kids don't. Because they fucking took it.
But their name is still on the loan, so they are therefore still responsible for the loan.
Right, but they didn't need it. Their kids needed it. They didn't need the loan.
So then the question is, why don't they just freaking pay it off, right, and let it gain interest?
Because they're boomers. They want their kids to work for it. I grew up on a farm. You didn't work for what you wanted, you didn't get it. You wanted something, you had to earn it. Kids these days don't have that. They're just handed everything. They're given iPhones at 5 years old. What horse shit is that?
That is true.
Like, what? Instead of their parents being like, sit down and behave or figure out how to entertain yourself, they just give them an iPad and get them to shut up. This isn't. I don't think those numbers are right. That doesn't make any sense. How could they still have student loan debt 60 years later? That doesn't make for more money than what they got back in 1970. Especially since majority of boomers don't have college degrees.
Average boomer debt.
Well, that will show a lot of debt because there are a lot of them with a lot of credit card debt. And that credit card debt vastly outweighs all the good.
Why would they freaking pay it off if they have money?
No, Phil. I'm talking a small minority of people have so much goddamn debt that it spills over into the average.
So we need to. So how can we look at the average and negate the outliers?
You can't.
Well, someone obviously has the data, and they could do that.
It's the Simpsons paradox.
Numbers, so we can't.
Well, it turns into the Simpsons paradox. You're cherry picking your data.
If you had every individual person, you could actually negate the outliers.
Yeah.
If you had the data on every person.
Yeah. If you want to get the real picture, just look up boomer average asset. It's stupid. The average, I think most of it's silent generation actually anymore. I think they just lumped them with boomers back when I saw it back in the day. But they have the majority of the wealth. They have the majority of the assets. They have the majority of the power. And they're holding on.
How do you account for the fact that some boomers are like say I don't know, is Buffett a boomer? Just how do you account for the people that are in the top 1%? How do you negate those outliers? No, the median, not the average, the median.
Median might be better. Median would be better, but you're not going to find median. I mean, you might. It's hard.
We have median retirement savings by age. Why does that say average?
Because average is easy. Everybody understands average. Not everybody understands median.
The middle? People can't find the middle number?
Do you realize how fucking stupid people are? Like, you're really assuming a lot.
Alright, median retirement savings under 35 is 13,000. 35 to 44 is 60,000. What the? How do people afford anything?
They don't.
Between 65 and 74, average median savings. I don't know if this is 401k or what they count as savings.
Well, see, that's the thing. What the fuck do they count as savings? Are stocks and bonds savings? Or is it just a savings account? Because who the fuck keeps a shit ton of money in a savings account?
Because to me, if you have 164,000 as a boomer in your savings account, that's pretty good. But if you have 164,000 in your 401k, sir, I don't know if you can retire on that.
But the other thing is the 164,000 in your savings, is that all your money? You don't know.
Yeah, that's all I have.
You don't know.
Here's the deal, right? 164,000. If that's how much money you have, then taking out 4% a year would leave you with an income. So you don't, because the idea is to have money and then you live off just the interest and not the principal. That leaves you with $6,500 a year. I guess we could, yeah, because 4% is about right, because you could go higher. No, but they couldn't go higher. Because that accounts for inflation. Inflation grows, your interest accounts, and then what your interest grows is supposed to offset that. And so basically you just get the same amount every year if the stock market does what it does. $6,500 a year, which you could not live off of.
Nope.
I don't know how anyone can live off of $6,500 a year.
They don't.
I'm sure there are some people that somehow manage, but I'm sure
Homeless people.
I'm sure their quality of life is much lower than what most people would want to live in.
Homeless people and housewives live off $6,500 a year. And those are the housewives that their husbands just keep all the money and give them like nothing. So, you know, they're not the not fun version of a housewife. The fun version of a housewife is your husband gives you lots of money and you just get to go spend and do things.
I want the complete opposite. You know, I want. Is there a sugar wife so that I can be so that I can be the house husband?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can find them. But they don't tend to go for men. Or people at all. They don't have time for families and relationships. They're high-power individuals. Independent. They don't need us.
Strong, independent woman.
Yep.
They have parthenogenesis. They don't need a man.
Yeah. Get a calcium spike and they can have a child and they'll have it all.
Yep. What do they need a man for? They can have a kid on their own. They can raise it on their own.
It'll be a clone of themselves.
Yeah.
What do they need us for?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I think that's what it is, right? Isn't it like a calcium spike that usually causes it?
With frogs?